Hi everybody, this is Kevin Wadsworth from NorthStarBadCharts.com. Just thought I'd record a little video to show you just a little bit of a walkthrough on perhaps one of the charts that's on our website. So you can see we've got NorthStarBadCharts.com here, and we've got our free section with lots of really nice charts on some big picture chart action for things like cryptocurrencies, gold, silver, the US dollar, and so on. But I thought I'd just have a look at the silver chart for you and just explain one or two sort of techniques that are used on here that you might find useful. So you'll see that there are a couple of arcs on there, and you often see me drawing these arcs on the charts. And looking at silver, in fact, since around about 1800, so over 200 years worth of data on TradingView, you can draw a very nice arc, surprisingly. Given that it covers such a long period of time and so many things have happened, all the way from 1800 right the way up into the 1980s. So that arc completely contains all of the price action. You can see these touches on the arc itself, where price bounced off the arc and then bounced off this sort of trend line, which was just starting to form, of course. So you wouldn't have, if you're in 1930s and 40s, you wouldn't really have known this trend line was here, but it's projected on into the future through the 1970s with another touch on the trend line and another one in the early 2000s. So that trend line has been confirmed and is valid, along with the large arc. Of course, we had another touch on the arc here where price bounced quite violently off it. And the upper trend line currently only has two touch points. The first one in the 1800s and the second one about 200 years later. But that trend line is likely to project on into the future as the other one has done and hold some significance into the future. So that trend line is shown along with the second arc, which has been building out since the 1970s, and you can see 1, 2 touch points on the arc there, and a third one over here more recently, of course, and also a touch point on the lower trend line. So various confirmations of the trend line and the arc taking place at the moment. I've put in a pitchfork here. If you're not familiar with pitchforks, that's the name given to this sort of construction where you see a sort of a line stretching from the 1930s, and then that sort of dictates where the upper and lower sort of points on the start of the pitchfork are, or at least where the midpoint between those 2 points is. So the top point on the pitchfork is set at the all-time high there, and the lower point on the pitchfork is set at the more recent lows in the sort of around about the year 2000. And you can see these Fibonacci levels, which are shown on the pitchfork. Each of these lines here is a significant Fibonacci level, coincide quite nicely with support and resistance levels. Amazing that this Italian guy Fibonacci, back in around about 1100, I think it was, almost 1,000 years ago, his sequence of numbers and the mathematics that he's devised and kind of pioneered has all these years later been able to find us our support and resistance levels on the silver price chart. So pretty amazing stuff, really. So by continuing this arc upwards and finding where it intersects with this sort of trend line that goes back a couple of 100 years, it does identify a place in time and sort of price as well. So it's time and price target where we may see price being pulled towards. So there are other ways of sort of devising your price and time targets, but this is one of them. And all of the other sort of techniques, you'll get a sort of a scattering of targets in a sort of price and time around this sort of zone in the mid to late 2020s, anywhere sort of around this sort of zone, anywhere sort of $100 plus for silver. So it's something to watch as the years unfold, and we'll just see how these techniques work. So going back on the website, perhaps maybe look at one other chart for you. Let's have a little scroll through and look at stellar lumens, something completely different. This is, of course, cryptocurrency. And we've been tracking, or I've been tracking, the arc formation, which admittedly only has one, two, and now a third touch point, but it also coincides with a bullish wedge which formed and we broke out of back in sort of late spring, well, around about May time in 2020, and has been rising ever since. And in sort of doing that, it's carved out a bearish rising expanding wedge. It'll be bearish eventually when it breaks down, but of course it hasn't done that yet, and we've just seen price bouncing off around about the 20 cent level, and has since risen. So this could be a confirmed touch point on the arc and another confirmed bounce on the bullish expanding rising wedge. If that's the case, then the first sort of target area is the target box on the arc, somewhere getting towards 80 cents, which is around about 4 times what the current price is. And the eventual upside target could be much, much higher if we get to the point where we reach the top of the expanding wedge, which is way off the top of the chart somewhere. So despite all the bearishness that's going on at the moment in the crypto sector, we could actually be quite well positioned here for a turnaround. Many of the cryptocurrencies are in a similar position, and Bitcoin itself, the market leader, is in a very similar sort of position as a critical line in the sand. We've got the monthly close on Wednesday of the coming week, and that's Wednesday the 28th of June. Of course, you might be watching this video after that date, and we'll know exactly what happened. But the monthly close on Wednesday is going to be very important, not just for cryptocurrencies, but for gold, silver, and everything else, of course. So expect some volatility leading into that, I guess. We've also got a probable or possible bullish signals coming out of the stock RSI, putting in higher lows as well. So that's always a good sign. So reasons to be optimistic, even though we're sort of standing on a precipice and peering down into the abyss. If we break down below this level, then it's a very, very long way down. So lots to watch over the coming few days, and I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, go to northstarbadcharts.com, look at all our charts, and more videos to come from both me and Patrick Karim, of course. Thanks for watching and listening as always.